Hello, and thank you for choosing to learn more about youth-specific nutrition education. This presentation is presented by Complete Children's Health in collaboration with Always in Motion Nutrition. I'm Nicole Legler, registered dietitian, here to teach you more about the nutrition facts label, how to read it, how to utilize it, and how to individualize it for you and your goals. So first, looking at the nutrition facts label as a whole, what are a couple key things in looking through this investigation? So when you're able to look at a label, whether that's on a package or if you're looking up the food, you're able to learn what ingredients are in your food. Beyond just the ingredients, how those ingredients are measured and their amounts are going to contribute to both macro and micronutrients, our calories, carbs, proteins, fats, as well as our vitamins and minerals. So the nutrition facts is really helping us to understand those distribution of nutrients in the food that you're consuming based on a specific noted amount in the serving size. All that to say, the nutrition facts label really just helps us dive in what's in the food and how that's contributing to the nutrients it's providing us. Learning about that, then you can start to decide how much or how little do you need in terms of how those nutrients then impact your health. So first, starting top to bottom, we're going to start with servings and calories. So a serving size is the standardized amount for measurement and nutrient breakdown. This is something that a lot of people look at a serving size and just automatically assume that this is what you need to be consuming, but that's not necessarily the case. The serving size is really just for the nutrition world to be able to break down and standardize an amount of that product and the calories that they are going to be contributing, the nutrients that it's going to be contributing. And yes, most of the time this might be close to the amount that you're having. Depending on your age, your needs, when you're having it, what you're having it with, it doesn't mean that the serving that it's noting is what you should be having. This is really just how it's going to split up that container. So the amount of servings per container, if it does note that, is just basically saying how many of those standardized servings is in the entire container. So here we have 1 1/3 cup is the serving size, and there is 7 of those servings in that entire container. Your portion is the actual amount that you're consuming. Serving size is the amount that the nutrients are broken down into, but portion is how many servings you are going to need for optimal nourishment. So maybe you only need a cup here because you're having it with something else. And so your portion is going to be less than the serving. That portion is really just that individualized amount that you are determining you need after reading the nutrition facts label. And that's the step that a lot of people don't take. They see the serving size, they look at the nutrition facts, they say, good, yep, I'm going to have that. And then they just have that serving. But I'm going to challenge you to look at the nutrient facts and then determine what portion do you need to fit whatever goals you have around that meal or snack. The calories that's going to be listed is the calories per serving size. So looking at the bottom of the nutrition facts label is going to be our ingredient list. The list is in order of weight, not necessarily calories, not necessarily nutrients, but the weight of the product. So it is going to be from highest to lowest weight of our each ingredient. But again, your lowest weight might contribute to a lot more calories than the highest amount of weight. So this is going to be just weight focused and how much of that is in the ingredient total, but doesn't necessarily depict how much calories it's contributing to. In terms of desirable ingredients to look for, we want things like whole grain. So whole grain brown rice here, for example. Other things would be like whole wheat flour. If you're choosing to have organic, it typically is listed here as well. We're looking for things like vitamins and minerals that might be added into the foods or other items and other whole food ingredients. So things that are going to be familiar to you in language is typically our whole foods. Ingredients to caution are going to be things like sugars and syrups. So if it has, cane sugar here, that's going to be true sugar. It also could say things like high fructose corn syrup, brown rice syrup. Sugars and syrups are going to be our fast carbohydrates. They typically sweeten things, but they also, in consumed in excessive amount, can have a negative impact on our health. Also, things like refined grains, they strip away the fiber, the micronutrients, the vitamins and minerals as well. So they are going to typically be fortified. So it might be fortified grain or some added nutrients in there. But ideally, as much as possible, we are looking for our whole grains versus our refined grains listed on the ingredient label. And then, of course, any foods that you're allergic to. This thing might be gluten, dairy, soy. There's going to be things that are going to be listed and will say contains, like it notes here, contains gluten, for example. So if you have a gluten intolerance or you have celiac disease, you want to be checking out for the things that you are going to be allergic to. Nuts, seeds, dairy, gluten, so on and so forth. It's going to be listed here on the label. So making sure there's no ingredients that you are allergic to. If you know you're allergic or intolerant to any other types of foods that aren't a main allergen, checking out the ingredient list to make sure that food is not listed if it's not a main allergy. In terms of nutrient breakdown, I put these into three main categories. First are performance nutrients. So if you are an active individual, if you're an athlete, these are going to be the things starred that's going to help with performance, activity, and exercise. Our electrolytes do support our hydration levels just in general, not just for exercise. So that's our sodium, potassium, chloride, and magnesium. That's going to make sure that we stay in optimal fluid balance as well as supporting hydration. Sodium, if consumed in excessive amounts, is something to caution. So just keeping an eye out for that. It definitely can help with hydration, but we want to make sure we're consuming it in appropriate amounts. Carbohydrates are our main source of energy for exercise. So that is going to be something that if you are consuming a snack or food before activity, sport, or exercise, having something with carbohydrates is going to help you to perform. This is the time where something like added sugars or syrups can be helpful to give you some fast fuel, but we want to make sure outside of our training that we are cautioning those added sugars. So now in the labels, it will have that included added sugar line. And so making sure that that is something that we're cautioning amounts of unless it's right before training and you've been advised to have some extra sugar in your day. And then protein is helping to rebuild and grow our muscles, making sure that that is going to be consumed frequently throughout the day. We have a whole lesson on how much protein to consume in this series as well. So make sure to check that out for a little bit more information on that. Our healthy nutrients are things that are just going to contribute to our general health. This is things like unsaturated fats, which is necessary for energy, supporting our heart and our brain health, our dietary fiber, which is supporting our digestive health, stabilizing our blood sugar and energy, and help keeping you full between meals, and our vitamins and minerals. This is necessary for general health, immune systems, energy needs, etc. And the nutrition to caution here is making sure that you're not having too much excessive saturated fats. Again, this is touched on more in our fat segment of our video series. Things that are high in cholesterol as well as those unhealthy fats, those are also going to be things to caution, and those added sugars unless specified before your training, exercise, or sport. So things to be aware of that it's contributing to lower amounts in your food, and then if it does have higher amounts, maybe considering a healthy swap. In terms of daily value, you'll see on the right side at the top, it says that percent daily value of any of the amounts other than protein here. So this is going to be based on a 2,000 calorie diet. You might need significantly less calories than that. You might need more calories than that. It's typically based on our adult recommendations. So as a youth here listening in, we want to make sure to caution that adult value is going to be different than your values. So not taking this as, oh yes, this is 60% of my daily value, or it's only 10% of my daily value. That's not necessarily true for you and your needs. So making sure that you're using that just as a starting point, but recognizing that your needs are going to be uniquely different. So how can you use it? You can look for the nutrients that are higher or lower in certain amounts that you're specifically seeking. For example, you might be looking for things that are more protein filled in grams, or that percent daily value in fiber, unsaturated fats, to kind of note this is a healthier option. Or before practice, you might be looking for higher amounts in daily value of carbohydrates and sugars. Those might be useful to you before activity levels, or lower in fat and fiber, which is also good to have lower amounts before you're going to exercise. So really just using this as an indicator for the nutrients that you're seeking higher or lower amounts versus taking that as a specific percentage that you need in your diet. And then lastly, just using it as a whole and kind of tying that all together, we want to make sure that we use the facts of determining first what is the food that we're consuming and how is this fitting into my meal or my snack? Is it a main food? Is it a side add-on? Is it going to be just a snack? So figuring out like with that label, am I just consuming this meal and this food as is? Or am I using this food as a part of my meal, as a contributor to a side, a snack, so on and so forth? So making sure you figure out like, is this the only thing I'm consuming or am I consuming it with others? Then you start to look at the serving size versus the nutrients it's giving you, checking out what is the serving size amount and what are the calories and the nutrients it's giving you. Does that kind of fit into your needs for your proteins, your carbs, your fats, your fibers, or is that going to be too high or too little? And then you can determine what portion of that said food that is appropriate for you to be consuming. So what part of this of my meal and snack is this fitting into? What is the serving size, the nutrient breakdown, and then being able to adapt that serving size to your individualized portion to help you really determine how can this food fit into my balanced meal or snack. If you want to learn more about what is a balanced meal or snack, we have that in our series. So go check out our other videos. Make sure to like and subscribe to learn more as well.